You know her as the executive editor of TV and events of People Magazine. Please welcome Brianne Hellman.
Hi, guys. Ooh. Who's ready for Christmas Con to get a little witchy? Yeah. This is such a cool treat to get to do a show reunion at Christmas Con because all of these amazing people were on the Hallmark Channel and they've all done a bunch of Christmas movies, so I'm so excited. In fact, I just learned that this is their first time doing a panel as a cast, so you all were making Good Witch history. So please welcome to the stage, Catherine Disher, Sarah Power, Catherine Bell, and James Denton. You guys, I love that this is a first. I feel really honored to get to do this.
First time ever.
Yeah,
Thank you. Hi, ladies.
so Dish.
Hilton here. How exciting.
Catherine said I could call her Dish, and she is a dish, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
How does it feel to be back with this crew?
Oh, you know what? We could not see each other for 10 years and then run into each other, and it's just like we've seen each other yesterday. It was such a great group of people. I have a funny little anecdote about the very first time I met Catherine.
Shocking.
The very first movie.
I'm so shocked you have an anecdote. Hit me.
I don't know how to take that. Yeah? All right.
It's a good thing.
The very first day of shooting on the very first Good Witch movie, our very first scene together, iPhones, we shot up in Canada. iPhones had not yet come to Canada, the first iPhone. And Catherine, who's a total technophile, pulls out the first iPhone I had ever seen and said, look what you can do. You can take these amazing photos and email them.
Remember this? Yes! You guys were freaking, like the crew was freaking out. I mean, the first time you pinched the picture and made it bigger, everyone was like, what?
And now it seems so primitive, but back then it was like a miracle. You were like a wizard.
I was a witch.
Nicely played. James, is there a text chain with this crew? Do you all text?
We've had a
Oh,
text
yes.
chain. And different iterations. One with like 20 people, one with just 4 or 5 of us. Or, yeah, it's been amazing. I've been on a ton of shows because I'm really old. And these guys, it is the nicest cast of crew I've ever worked with. So it's the only one I've really stayed in touch with over the years. And it's fun, and we're really happy to get to do this.
Who's the biggest gift sender? Who sends the gifts? Come on.
We don't really do that, yeah.
I received beautiful gifts from both Catherine Bell and Catherine Disher for my daughter on the show. Okay.
That was a really nice pivot.
Yeah, you have to have a baby to get presents on the Good Witch. So Jane, you were out of it. It's too late for us.
Catherine, what do you miss most about doing the show? It's now been, 3.5 years?
Man, that's a tough question. I really miss doing the show. I miss it. I miss you guys. I miss the character. I miss the magic. I think we all were a bit surprised that it ended. It seemed to end a little bit sooner than I think everyone wanted, certainly from what you guys were telling us as well. And we have not given up trying to get a movie made. So we're working on it.
We're making it easy. We're just like, tell us where to be. We all want to do it, just set it up and we'll show up. We're hoping.
So what didn't each of your characters get to do yet that you hope will be able to be done in an additional movie or additional season?
Big sex scene.
You are on the road now.
I begged, and they're like, nobody wants to see you do that.
We didn't
Are you talking about all three of us with all
Yes.
different network, but okay.
You find out what's going on in the back room of Bell Book and Canada. You go back there and it's just madness.
Well, it's how Cathy actually makes money because she never charges anyone for anything they buy.
That's where she picks up her extra
Doing
cash.
history and Bell Book and Canada.
Sarah, what did Abigail not yet get to do that you want to see her do?
Well, I've heard from a lot of people here that they wanted her to get married to Donovan. I got to try on the wedding dress and I never got to wear it. So I think our producers didn't want to do another wedding episode after how crazy your wedding was. It was a big episode for us. So, yeah.
So were there mishaps while filming that wedding episode? Were funny moments?
No, I can't remember what happened, but it was a tough episode to pull off. It was outside.
And it was in the middle of the
Remember that
woods.
horse farm?
Yeah, there were horses. A horse had to walk up at the right time, and all this
That's
craziness.
of course.
It's all about the horses.
There was a lot of mosquitoes. It was summer in Toronto.
Weather, yeah.
It's either summer and you're getting bit by mosquitoes or it's freezing cold.
And those scenes are the only time when you have everybody on set, on weddings and funerals. So the whole cast has to be there. And we shot it outside, so you have to deal with the weather. And it's a big production, so I bet you're right. I bet they just didn't have another wedding in them.
Wait a minute, funerals. I only remember one memorial service. Were there other funerals?
I mean, on TV shows.
Oh, I see, yes.
That's when you have the whole cast there is for
Yes.
weddings and funerals.
Although our cast did get to be in a lot of scenes together, all of us, because we had so many events.
That's true.
There was always like a thing, and those were always the hardest ones to shoot because we would always be like hiding behind someone because we were laughing during a take. And
Halloween festivals.
yes, so many festivals.
All the festivals.
There were a lot of festivals, yes. I have to say, I mean, part of what's been interesting about the trajectory of the show is seeing how many people discovered it after it went on Netflix. What was that experience like for you, Dish? Like people coming up to you and having discovered it thinking it was a Netflix show?
Well, you know, it's funny. I have stopped trying to decide what the average Good Witch fan looks like or where they come from or how old they are because it really spans generations and ethnic groups and, you know, everybody. So it's always a thrill. I do a lot of Comic Cons for the animation stuff that I do and the sci-fi that I've done. And inevitably, Good Witch fans find me there, and they're also, you know, horror fans. I'm sorry, I forgot your question. What was the question?
Meaning fans who discovered the show on Netflix.
Oh yeah, although I've had those embarrassing moments where, because I'm sort of used to being recognized, and people are always lovely in the grocery store or something. But I was at the vet once, and somebody said, "Oh," and pointed at me, and I said, "Yes, I'm an actor." And she said, "No, can you reach me that bag of kibble behind me?" The one time I sort of went, "Yes, I'm an actor." Yeah.
There were also a bunch of great guest stars. I want to talk about Kathy Najimy and like what did that mean to you guys to have someone from Hocus Pocus, such an iconic witch movie, appear on the show, Catherine?
Oh, I mean, I had so many scenes with her. It was such an honor. She's such a lovely lady, like so down to earth, so funny. And we had a lot of fun. It was great to have that character brought in as my mentor. Yeah, so amazing. We stayed in touch, actually. She's really lovely.
That's so cool. Are there any other actors who've played witches that you would like when you come back to do a guest spot?
Nicole Kidman.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Sandra Bullock.
James, do you have any moments that when you think about your experience on the show, which now, it's about to celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the premiere in February, which is crazy, and also amazing that 10 years later we're still talking about it. It says something about all the work you guys have done. But James, when you think back, is there certain scenes that jump out to you as just particularly memorable, whether it was because it was a disaster or because it just was a perfect moment?
The things I always think about at the very beginning, because I was new to it, Catherine had done 7 movies, I guess, with a different husband, so I only showed up for the series. So at the very first few episodes, you remember we were really edgy because I was a doctor and I thought, who is she trying to heal people with tea and stuff? I said, you're going to kill somebody. Remember, we had a fight in my house. I said, someone's going to die. It was almost dark, but it was really interesting. She's such a great actress that it was so much fun, those early episodes, and we got away from it because it was a little bit too edgy. But I love that clash between the Eastern and Western medicine. And then, of course, we made it together, which was great. But those early episodes, like when you had the bird flew into my office, and she was able to magically have the bird just land on her arm, and you almost, in real life, you did that. It was crazy. But the early stuff I always remember, I think.
Is there a moment for you, Catherine, that just stands out?
There's so many. I mean, it's hard to pick, right? It was really, I just think of some of the big party and group scenes that we had in Grey House, like the big parties where everyone's dressed up, probably just because everyone was there, Peter McNeil, George, and just like and Bailey Madison, and we were all there. It was so much fun because we really are such a family, and so we all get along. I mean, we all just get along and actually like each other, so it was fun to actually shoot those things and having an actual party.
And there was that episode where a painting comes to life or something, and we all had to stand in the Grey House and freeze in a pose, and it was the longest day ever, but we had a ball.
What do you do to kind of keep your energy up when you have a long day like that on set, regardless of if it's Good Witch or some other project? Sarah?
Well, Good Witch was interesting because Grey House was the most beautiful set, and it also had a lot of very comfortable couches. So
I napped in many of them.
Yes, so we all napped, and we would also, it felt like a party. Like we would hang out, we would go to the bistro, and people would bring board games. We played a lot of board games in the bistro. I remember one party scene that took like days to shoot. Yeah, so we all just hung out. It actually felt like we were just like hanging at Grey House, having a good time. Lots of coffee, lots of candy.
When you started to fade, you just went and found other people to talk to in Grey House. That was the way you stayed awake.
So it was its own magical caffeination right there. Well, speaking of magic, have any of you had any moments of magical intuition in your real life? Catherine, aside from maybe a bird landing on your arm?
I do have a lot of those moments. They're really subtle. They're like little where you think of someone that you haven't talked to in years and then they call. There's definitely something where you just kind of have a sense of something just before it happens. I love those moments. Like, ooh, meant to be. Yeah.
She's a witch.
I am a good witch.
Dish, has that happened to you?
No, but I think Martha thought she was a Merriwick by the end of the show. And I actually had this idea that I was pitching the producers that Martha finds a picture in the attic of an older couple, and Cassie comes in and says, "I got that same picture in my house. Who is that? That's my great-great-great-grandmother." And then you can say, "That's my great-great-grandmother," and Martha's a Merriwick. So yeah, I think Martha, she would be insufferable though, but she thought she was a witch. I would have enjoyed that.
Amazing. I want to at least touch on some other things that you guys have all been working on. We have to talk about Cherry Lane. Do you guys watch the Cherry Lane movies? Catherine and James, how was it to be working together again now twice, 2 years in a row?
I love it. I mean,
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We can't do Good Witch. Let's do something different.
I'll be honest, it's the main reason I did it. I mean, I love the movies, I love Hallmark's been great to me, but it wasn't the perfect time, and then they said, Catherine's doing it, and I was like, now I have to do it. Really, she's the reason I did the movie. And it was also fun to play different characters, because, I'm not exactly Christian Bale, I'm not a chameleon. I do one thing, and I do it over and over and over. But it was kind of fun to be...
Sexy plumber.
Well, for us to work together, but to be different characters. Because my character in Cherry Lane is kind of goofy. Nelson's got a big mouth, he puts his foot in his mouth, and he's kind of, and I don't get to do that normally. So it was fun to be different, to not be Sam and Cassie.
And also, John Askenas, our producer, produced it as well. It was nice to be on. It was a mini Good Witch reunion. Yeah.
Do we see a third? I mean, now we saw one Christmas, then we saw the origin story Christmas this year. You haven't watched yet.
There'll be 9 Cherry Lane movies next year.
They did 4, right? They did 3 or 4?
They did 3 this year, so it's been
right?
total.
4 total.
a lot of people have been living in that house.
Well, people keep telling you, God, that's a lot of money for you. I'm like, no, we're just in one of them.
We worked like 4 days.
Dish, we've got to talk about some of your voice work because do you guys know that she's like working nonstop and does everything from X-Men '97 to Thomas and Company? I mean, superstar right here.
Well, thank you. I realized that when we did the original X-Men cartoon 30 years ago, we never imagined we'd still be talking about it today. And I know that for those of you who watched it 30 years ago, we kind of live in people's heads from their childhood. Our voices are in their heads. So when they rebooted the show, essentially, and we started doing X-Men '97, that's when I started coming to conventions. And I got to meet the new actors because they're all in LA who record. I'm in Toronto, so that was the first time I met them and seeing, the actors. I hadn't seen some of them for 25 years, and now we've been like to every state capital, and we've been everywhere for the past year. So that's been really fun. And again, it's like a little home week. So that's been really, really fun.
What's the biggest difference for you guys between a Christmas con and the various Comic-Cons and other conventions?
This is my first con, so I've only experienced.
This is my only con ever. I've been
My only con too.
my second time here, and I've never done a convention except this one.
Okay, well then let me tell you.
Right, tell us all about it.
Catherine?
Everybody here is so lovely and so nice.
She did say that. You got it.
All of you. I mean, not that other people at cons are, but there are some odd people dressed in magnificent costumes at Comic Cons. It's a whole different world. And I did a horror survival game 20 years ago that is still incredibly popular franchise too. So, and that's really violent. So I have a wide array of people that come up to me, and who are sometimes fans of Good Witch and Resident Evil. So it's not. But yeah, I just noticed everyone here is so lovely and so nice.
And well-bathed. And yeah.
Well, they,
Sarah, we have to talk about Love on the Danube. Did you guys see that? Come on, Hallmark Plus.
I got to work with Dish. Dish and I went on a European tour together. We cruised down the Danube together. It was amazing.
yeah, I got COVID 4 days into the cruise, and then I was locked in my stateroom. It was about as big as this table. It was, but really, luxurious, but just tiny.
Very tiny.
So I saw Vienna through the window.
We were having the time of our lives up until she got COVID. But it was great. We shot in Budapest and then went on a cruise together through Germany, Austria, back to Hungary.
Yeah, we shot
But
on the
it's-
river cruise boat.
Yeah, it was 3 movies at once though. It was crazy. It was like a logistical masterpiece. I don't know how they did it, but we had so much fun.
Sarah, we were the first day we were shooting in Budapest on this cobblestone pedestrian street. Sarah would look over at me and go, "Dish, look where we are!" And I'd be like, "I know!" And then they'd yell action, and we'd be like, "Oh my God, we have to act now." And I would flirt with men.
Oh yeah, she was horrified, but it was
Horrified.
so cute. It was so cute. But yeah, but while we were there, we were taking selfies to send to these guys, and they were like, "Hi, we're in Europe. We miss you." So yeah,
The Good Witch goes to Europe.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
that should be the movie.
Yes.
You guys in?
Yes. Italy.
I mean, there's like good witchy, historic places in Europe. Some of those castles. It'd be amazing.
You guys go to Hungary and Austria, and you shot in Fiji, and all my movies are in Winnipeg. All. Every Hallmark movie I've done, I'm not kidding, was in Winnipeg. I think I did one in Vancouver. So I got to get your agent.
Well, you did just spend some time in France.
Shut up.
Let's talk about
We
it.
have to talk about Dancing with the Stars, France.
I'm so paying for it. It's something I never would have done in a show here, but just because I'm not a dancer. And they had asked me to do Dancing with the Stars France a bunch of times because Housewives was huge there. And I never even considered it. And then they happened to call during the strike. And my manager's like, you know what, it's 3 months in France, or if you get voted off first, 1 month. And they take care of you, and it was a big adventure, and at my age, there aren't many things that you're really scared of, and you haven't had a chance to do, and it terrified me. And I knew then I had to do it. So I went over and, I came in somewhere in the middle of the pack, like 5th out of 12, but I got to do 8 of the 10 shows, and I was there for almost 4 months, and it was a huge adventure, but both my knees are just destroyed. I'm still trying to recover, but it was really fun, and the people there were very nice. But
Okay, you
it's
have
terrifying. Terrifying. I mean, when you get up there on stage, because it's live. The shows are live, and the routines here are 1 minute. Over there, they're 2 to 2.5 minutes. So my fear was I would forget the routine. Like I would get out there and be in the middle of it and just completely, because I've never danced before. So there's nothing like that. We don't get, you do enough, we don't get a lot of stage fright because you just accept what happens. But when I got out there on stage the first night and they introduced you, you realize it's live on television, and here you go. My heart was pounding, so I felt like a little kid. It was exciting, but really scary.
Okay, you have to send us the link. I have to.
Oh, you can find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
Really?
And it wasn't terrible.
But we're watching tonight.
It was it's out there somewhere, I'm sure.
5th place is no slouch. I mean,
Middle of the pack. I just didn't want to be the first week or two. I wanted to stay around a while, so I was very happy. In fact, when I got voted off, the host said, "I've never seen anybody so happy to get voted off." The 4 people that are left were so much better than I was, and I just survived because the fans were really nice, and they kept me alive, I think. So if I'd stayed any longer, I would have felt guilty because they were much better than I was.
do you speak French?
I learned, some. But mainly it was just we doesn't leave off, we'll say it terrible. I'm sorry, my French sucks. That was all I said to everybody. I learned, I picked up something.
That's amazing. All right, we're gonna open this up to audience questions. There are mic stands in these 2 aisles. You can line up behind them if you've got some questions for these guys. In the meantime, while you start lining up, I'm gonna ask them really quickly to name your favorite Christmas ornament. One that could be sentimental, could be funny, but the one that when you take it out of the box makes you go,
Where you started?
You!
The paper plate ornament that my son made in kindergarten. He's now 31, and every year when I take it out, he goes, "Oh my God, we throw that thing out." I love it.
Awesome. Sarah?
My mom gave me 3 angels that were her grandmothers, and she had 3 daughters, so it's one for each of us, and yeah, that's mine.
I have a handmade one from my grandmother that I still have. Yeah.
I've got one, it's called a pixit. It's not a pixie, but it's a pixit. I don't know the difference. It's a little person with a hat on, but my mom gave it to me. Both my parents have been gone forever, but she left it to me, and it's got a note on the back that said, "This was on our first Christmas tree in 1958. And the little piece of paper is still taped on the back of it. And it's hung in there all these years, so that's my favorite, for sure.
Awesome. All right, we're gonna start right here.
Hi, I'm Lisa from South Jersey. Real easy question. If you celebrate Christmas, what are you doing this Christmas morning?
Is that an invitation?
Yes, ma'am. Mulligan Hill, New Jersey.
What is your Christmas morning?
I have a 5-year-old, so she will wake us up and tell us that Santa came, and we will try to feed her food while she frantically opens presents. Try to get her to eat something, and then, there'll probably be a tantrum by like 9 a.m.
It changes so much because my kids are both in college now, so it used to be that Christmas morning was 6 a.m. And now you just sit around and wait for them to get out of bed. It's like 11, 12, very different. Enjoy it.
It goes quick. Yeah, we do that to the kids used to wake us up, and now it's more like, okay, we decide what time we're going to set our alarms for, like 9, a reasonable hour. And come out to all the presents that are under the tree, because I put them out the night before. And then open the presents, and then, coffee and cinnamon rolls and breakfast and all that stuff. Take our time opening them and enjoying each other. Yeah.
Well, moms are working like way into the night to get everything ready for the next day, but then we get to sleep in, but it's actually my dog now that wakes me up. Like, why aren't you out of bed yet? He gets very excited. He likes to open presents. So my son will hold his presents and Finn will pull the wrapping off, and he loves bubble wrap. So he's the most excited kid when it comes to being under the tree, this 160-pound dog.
What do you mean? What do you mean moms are busy? Oh, moms are so busy.
Sorry.
What are you talking about? Guys, right, how much stuff do you have to put together? And I wrap everything. I wrap all this stuff.
See, yeah.
You are rare.
Oh,
Yeah, I was the one.
no guys allowed. Don't you guys have to put stuff together and like read all the instructions? I love that stuff.
They're not here because they're busy putting stuff
They're busy
together.
they're home putting together toys.
Days ahead.
All right, over here.
Hi everybody, I'm Justine, I'm from Florida. Hi. My question's for Catherine and James. So both of you had shows, like Catherine you did Denise on Army Wives, and James you did Mike on Desperate Housewives. How was it merging those characters? Because they're completely different from the characters that you play in Good Witch. So how is it like transitioning from a long running TV show into that one?
Well, I mean, you don't really.
Well, she's had 3.
I know. Very fortunate. I know. Thank you. Yeah, it's there's definitely similarities. There's always parts of you in any character you play. There just are. I mean, again, you know, Daniel Day-Lewis is one of these guys that you completely lose yourself. But for me, I do find some similarities. And then it's interesting when you're on a show. What I love about series work is that you get to kind of grow with the character. The character grows and evolves, and you do as well. And you know, you might start off one way, and it kind of changes over the years. Like we started off like not really liking each other. Well, Cassie always liked you. It just took her a minute to get win you over, not witchy, woo you over.
Well, I was going to come around. It was your show.
You had no choice. Yeah. So you know, it's just different. To me though, I love going from one type of character to something completely different. Like I don't want to do something the same right after. So it's fun to go from, I went from Jack to Army Wives, which even though they're both military shows, they were completely different. You know, one was a military wife and very composed, and one was a Marine and whatever lawyer. So yeah, it's fun. To me, it's just all an adventure.
It's something that can happen, I don't know about your experience, but you get protective of your character after a while. So after season 6, season 7, season 8 of the show, you know your character better than the writers, because writers get fired all the time. It's a revolving door. And so you'll get a script and you'll be like, Mike, I would never do that. And you can actually go in and advocate for your character. And that's when you know it's been on for a while and you really connect with the person. So then it is fun to go do something completely different, like I went from being a plumber to being a doctor, and it's just you in that different walk of life. So it's kind of like, almost like playing dress up as a kid. Like, oh, now I get to be a surgeon and learn all this other stuff. And you do study, like I had to do a knee exam with Limke, and you want to look real, so I watch a bunch of videos on how doctors examine knees. So it's fun to get into the different person.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Over here.
Hi, my name is Tiffany from Southern Maryland, and I have a question for all of you, but specifically for Sarah, since you have a young daughter. How do you all balance your work life and your family?
How do you balance your work life and your personal life? And it's especially for Sarah because she has a young child.
Well, I was super lucky. I got pregnant while I was on this show, and coming back to work with my daughter was so nice because everyone felt like family. It felt like introducing her to my other family. And my mom came and lived with me because my husband was in another city shooting. So everybody here took such good care of me, and our producer, John Espinez, took amazing care of me. But the balance thing, I mean, I don't know. Every job is different. Every job has a different schedule, and I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's hard. I would say the hardest thing is when you're at work, you're there for so long, and it's so intense. That sort of re-entry into like, okay, now I'm back in mom mode can be tough, but I think it just takes a couple of days, and then you're kind of back to packing lunches. So yeah, that's.
Well, I mean, I remember years ago I did a vampire show, and we shot nights, and I had my son in between the first and second season. And I remembered that when we were doing Good Witch, because it was so hard to do, and I felt really strongly, I mean, I felt so badly for Jamie and Catherine, because their families were far away, and they had young children at that point at the beginning, and I felt, you know, really felt for you guys, because you having to fly back as often as you could to see your kids and how exhausting that is. I mean, that was really hard for you guys to do.
It was a challenge because we would just, what time are we wrapping? Is there a flight before midnight?
Take a red eye.
Get to the airport and take a red eye, and you got to be back Monday. But that's what you do, right? You just get home whenever you can. You race home, and then, as Sarah says, try to as quickly as you can get into dad mode because you don't have a lot of time.
We would text each other because we would work late Friday night, catch the first morning flight on Saturday, go right to the soccer or the basketball game, and
But it's fun. It's a blessing.
Yeah.
You're working, but you have to try really hard.
Yeah, and the film industry employs more nannies than any other industry in the world.
Understandably. All right, over here.
Hello, I'm Linda from Florida. I have a question for basically all of you. Now that you've all been on a show that has been on for a significant period of time, when you leave that character, do you have some sort of like a ritual or something that you go through to kind of close the book on that character?
At the end of the show, when it's all over with.
Well, you usually don't know until like 6 months later that it got canceled.
you say goodbye to everyone.
Back.
So not knowing if we're coming back.
We still want to say goodbye to our characters. I don't have any ritual, but I have been lucky enough to keep some of the wardrobe, and I have these certain pieces of clothing that are like Abigail's or like whatever other characters I've taken them from, and those are my little reminders. They hang in my closet. It's like
I did that too. Did anybody watch The Pretender? Remember The Pretender? I know some of you didn't talk, but my character was missing a thumb and got cut off. So I had all of these gloves that had no thumb that I had to wear, which was a big pain in the ass, but I kept them. So I have like 4 or 5 of Mr. Lyle's thumbless gloves, and then I kept like Mike Delfino, the wristband from the hospital. So I'm kind of a pack rat. I keep little stuff like that. So I don't close the book on it. I keep the stuff.
We thought we were doing a season 8 until the month before. Everything was go, and it was just the month before. So if I had known that I would have taken Martha's gavel and all of her fake pearls, but I did not know.
Catherine, is there anything you've taken from set from any of your shows?
I always wish I had kept more. I kept one of my Marine uniforms from JAG, and it's in one of those like wedding dress kind of boxes. I'm curious to take it out and see. I don't think it still fits me, but that's okay. What else? Yeah, that's probably like the most special.
Awesome.
Thank you.
We've got someone over here, number 2.
Hi, I've been a fan since the movies, so I've seen all of you ladies as mayor. Mayor Tinsdale, you're still my favorite, as I told you last night.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. My actual question is for James. Coming into this series, kind of not as the other man, but as the other man, did you have any worries about the fan base not accepting you as we did Jake?
That's a great question. Very much so. I was really reluctant. In fact, when I was first offered the job and they told me the story, I was like, I don't know, the Hallmark audience is so loyal, and they almost see all the movies probably more than once. And like what happened to Chris Potter. So yes, it was a lot of conversations about that. And then we sent him out with Dignity. There was a memorial. We did a few episodes about him. And that was why we kept some distance between these two early on, so it wasn't too quick for casting. So yeah, we tried to handle it very delicately because you don't want people are attached to characters. So that's a great question.
I think it was good that we fast forwarded however many years, at least, because I had like a toddler and a baby who was 13 or 14 at the time.
Built some years
in like 10 years, it wasn't so quick. People could maybe accept it in that year. You won the as well.
I mean, we jumped ahead 5 years, but you and I didn't age a day.
Never. We're witches. You're a wannabe Merrywick.
You still haven't.
But Grace aged 10 years somehow, right?
We did accept you. Well, I didn't, so, but thank you.
Thanks.
I forgot that you were both mayor too.
Oh yeah, we
All three mayors.
I know. I was like,
That's right.
I thought for sure I was going to be mayor in the movies after my husband. Then when you had to take, she used to torture me by rearranging my office. When
Being I was mayor, that was my favorite storyline because you were so genuinely upset.
Oh my God, I was worried.
And I would just send her selfies from her desk, being like, "Look where I am today, in the mayor's chair."
And you know what? They got her a really nice desk chair when she became mayor. So at least I got that out of it after you were gone.
I loved it.
All right, over here.
Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm from Dobbs Ferry. And I love you all. You're all amazing. And I just want to say thank you for all of us. We all have had bad days, and we have turned on this show, and we felt better again and again and again. And I want you to know that, more than a movie, more than a Hallmark movie, this show is about a connection, the universe inside us every day, and it's beautiful. And you guys just need to know, the rest is sprinkles. You guys have done it, as far as we're concerned. So thank you.
Really sweet.
It's so true. And my other question, I have 5 pages front and back, so I have to pick one. And you answered some, so that's good. But Sarah, hello, you've also been on Schitt's Creek. What? Oh my God, that's incredible. And I just wondered if there was any overlap or because I felt maybe Schitt's Creek was also in Canada, and so I didn't know if they were at the same time or.
I don't think they were at the same time. No, it was during, but I think it was just not when we were shooting. I know Dan and his family, and they're so lovely, and I knew the cast, and I had worked with Tim, who's I played his girlfriend, or Mutt. So it was just so nice, and it was pop in for 2 episodes. It was lovely, but it wasn't. I think I was in Toronto. I was doing another show in Toronto called Killjoys, so I think it was during that time. I was doing that at the same time as our show as well. That's why my hair turned red halfway through an episode. But so I think it was around that time. But yeah, it was great.
Awesome.
It was a great show. It was so much fun to do.
You were brilliant.
We have time for one, maybe.
Stop by the hotel later with the rest of your questions.
Yeah.
Over here.
Hi, I'm Jill. I was just curious, what's your favorite character trait of the characters you play?
Favorite character trait of your characters that you play?
My favorite character trait of Martha is that despite her sort of initial childish impulses, that she, everything she thinks comes right out of her mouth, and it's usually about herself that she thinks. But every episode, Cassie would drop a little idea in Martha's head, and Martha actually learned the lesson every episode. So I really appreciated that about Martha. And also the fact that I started out as the bad guy in the movies and got sort of progressively nicer. That was actually hard to do, to become nice. But that was my favorite. That's a great question. Thank you.
I liked Abigail's spiciness. I liked how she stirred the pot. It was always fun to play. And she was always making trouble. Not too much trouble, but not fun trouble. Sweet trouble.
Voodoo doll and one.
That was a long time ago. I was going through a lot at the time. But I turned a corner thanks to, Cassie Nightingale.
Which is, that's the thing that I love most about Cassie, is that she saw good in everyone, even people who were not good. And in doing that, and seeing that, it brought it out in people. She never accepted that people were not being nice, or that they didn't have that underneath.
It's weird, not like that Sam was a basketball player. because it was one of the few things I'm okay at. And we were shooting basketball in the driveway between scenes, and they decided just to keep it. So I played basketball in like 3 episodes every year, and I got my shoulder hurt in that one scene. No, that scene with Adam where I fell and I wasn't gonna be able to operate again, and it was, yeah, so I just like that they stuck that in season 2, and we kept it through the whole show.
You know you're gonna have to dance if there's another movie.
Oh my gosh, never again.
Can everyone please first give it up for these amazing interpreters here? And to this incredible cast who's given us hours of entertainment, including this one. Merry Christmas.
And to all of you, thank you guys for being here.
We appreciate it.
It means a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have one more process here, folks. If we could have the cast and Brianne right on the front of the stage here, we're just gonna grab a picture of you guys together with all of our wonderful Christmas Con audience members in the background.